Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, world. This is TJ Morris, and you're listening to PT Radio. We're going to be getting our talk about soul memories of humanity today with the ACO Club Metaphysicians. And I've invited Ken R Johnston Sr., who is our fleet commander of a lot of our blogs and our people that have social media out there. So we're welcoming everybody, and I've invited you if you were interested on social media. We may have some other people show up. I'm not sure, but I think that Tommy Hawksblood is going to be showing up. But let me get Ken on here. Ken, can you hear me now?
I hear you loud and clear.
Well, thanks for coming on Sunday. Short notice, but here you are. So why don't you introduce yourself? You're going to be doing co-hosting with us, hopefully on Fridays from now on, but Sundays when you can show up, that'd be great. Tell them who you are. From Albuquerque.
Oh, my name. Well, it depends upon who you're talking to and what organization we're talking with as to who I go by Ken Johnston. I was one of the first 4 civilian astronauts on the Apollo program, working with the Grumman Corporation that built the lunar module, and my job was to help test it in the vacuum chambers and be sure everything worked good and help train the regular NASA Apollo astronauts how to fly it so they could go to the moon. And I was with the Boeing Corporation. I was a flight instructor on 737s for 14 years. So I retired from there. Let's see, chronologically, I guess I'm 77 years old, although a few times, and I'm beginning to believe this myself after undergoing a lot of hypnotic regression, but little time jumping back and forth here, maybe I'm not quite that old, at least I hope not. So is that enough information?
Yeah, and you're going to be speaking. You're one of the very few people that's been invited and got an airplane ticket to be a real live speaker at a real live Cosmos or Conscious Expo or Living Expo. But we do integrative medicine, and I believe it's in California. But is it the New Living Expo? I'll look it up. April 26th, isn't it? New Living Expo?
I'm going to ask you to please look it up because I've got so many notes on my desk here. I don't know which one's which. And my wife just told me, aren't you supposed to be on? She told me about 20 minutes ago that I needed to check in with you guys, and I had about a minute and a half to spare before you went on the air. So that lets you know how tight schedules are with us right now.
All right. Well, New Living Expo, April 26th to 28th. It's a San Mateo event center, newlivingexpo.com. And we've just recently had James Van Prague over here for the New Horizons event program, and he is one of the lead speakers with Ken Johnston, who's here with us today, David Wilcock, Andrew Collins, Kimberly Meredith, Carolyn Miss, or Mize, M-Y-S-S, Marianne Williamson, David Lombert, Ashley Manta, Kenneth Pelletier, and I think I said Grant Hamcock, but I'll say it again. So that is 180 exhibitors, 80 lectures, workshops, and panels, and I'm really glad that Ken has been asked to go over there. And let me see what it says here. It says the New Living Expo is a revolutionary event focusing on the alternative movers and shakers of our times. It features a myriad of speakers, workshops, classes, panels, and special events, all designed to excite, enlighten, and motivate. So some people even say that they met their soulmates. And we're going to be talking about soulmates tonight. So this is only fitting that Ken got to come to promote this event tonight. So Ken, some people met their soulmates, and we're going to be talking about that. But let me get my other person on Sundays. This is one of the guys that started this show 7 years ago, Ken, Tommy Hawksblood. I believe he tried to call you today. Let me see.
Already,
Tommy?
Yes.
Greetings,
okay.
yes, I'm here.
Tommy, yeah, introduce yourself, Tommy.
Hi, Tommy Hawksblood. I'm calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. We just had a big earthquake this morning. We got a lot of things going on here. It was a 5.2. But
Are you talking to us?
we had a, yeah, they had a, they dropped couple bombs on the island about a month ago, the day after we had a 4.8, and we just had an earthquake on top of the island, which we never had an earthquake on, and they put that on the news. But yet this morning we started with a 5.3, and we had about 4 more yet so far today. So they're playing with this island.
Actually, isn't Hawaii just a great big mountain at the top of it? It's got the top of the volcano on it.
Well, I'm on the biggest the mountain on the planet, which is the Big Island of Hawaii. Yes, you're right. The biggest mountain, and the Army base goes 6 down. What was that, TJ?
It happened near Kailua, 5.3. A big. It says 11 hours ago. It was on ABC 7 News, and it's saying the magnitude is 5.3. Tommy, and
right.
God bless you for being there. So thank you for calling Ken and me and alerting us to all of this. So wow.
Well, just so today was a bad day. Hawaii had 1. Japan had a 5 and a 5.2. Alaska had a 5.3. Mexico had a 5 point. And Utah in the middle of the United States had a 4.6. So they're getting bigger and bigger over the past year because of the fracking out there. I believe there's exact reasons why it's happening. But your psychic friend talked about it. He said he prophesied about the 6th. I prophesied the last 2 7.0 earthquakes, but I'm prophesizing there's a bigger one coming in the next 4 to 5 months.
Could be. And that's why I live at a mile high in New Mexico. And that's my choice.
Well, that's a good choice. So,
although
I'm on the big.
You live in the more beautiful place, so it's much more beautiful there than the high desert we have. But it is what we're. I'm closer to the moon, I think.
Well, a little bit closer.
Not much.
Our mountain's still pretty high, but as far as I'm in Hawaii, I could write a book on how bad Hawaii is. We're the most toxic probably in the United States. 8 out of 10 people will come down with a respiratory or lung problem by the time they're 40.
Wow.
If they.
So what's the life expectancy there?
What was that? You still there?
I was asking what the life expectancy is then in Hawaii. The average life expectancy.
I don't know the exact number for that, but I do know we have a lot more people getting bit by sharks and a lot more people disappearing in the ocean. The greatest snorkelers and divers disappear every month. We have them disappearing. So we got the worst water conditions because we have water waves up to 50 feet high, and that's what they like to surf. But when it hits the shoreline, it does damages to the shorelines and everything else.
Wow.
But that's only a few problems here. We got chemtrails being sprayed every 3 days. We got a geothermal plant, which is extremely dangerous here on this big island.
Right.
They killed 4 people a couple of years ago, and they put 120 people in the hospital. I was living right near it when it happened. They thought a tsunami was going to hit, and they had to release gas, and it just killed 4 people. Only last year they gave them a fine of $24,000.
Wow.
For doing it. But the volcano covered.
Yeah.
The volcano had 13 ports. 12 of them were covered by lava. They only had 1 open, but that's where the active lava was pouring out of. And they didn't even talk about that much. So as of recently, they're going to be opening a geothermal plant as of probably next month. Even though I think it's already operating, because I hear a weird sound at nighttime. And I don't know what else it could be. It's a really kind of strange hum. But I do hear it all night long. So, yeah, that's the interesting, beautiful Hawaii, how beautiful it is. I'm a rebel. If you listen to me and how I talk, I go into the facts. I don't go into what everybody else says. I have to prove things to myself.
That's important to do your own research, is where you understand. I live, here in New Mexico, very close to at least 3 of the underground bases the extraterrestrials have been in, as well as our secret space program. So, yeah, we've all living in some very interesting times.
Well, I went on. Do you know the name Robert Morning Sky?
Now you want Morning Sky or Morning Star? Because we
Not
get
Star,
Robert Morning Sky and Morning Star. All right, Morning Sky, Ken, he's talking to you. So I'm going to mute while you two talk for a minute.
All right, because I was friends with him. He was abducted by the government, and he was completely reprogrammed for real. He was the first person 35 years ago talking about Planet X and Nibiru coming here and everything. And I went on a vision quest with him. Ships came over us and everything. But while I was on the lecture scene, we were doing global sciences. They abducted him. They took him. They said he was doing a TV show. He came back. He was completely reprogrammed. His story, his grandfather was with an alien ship that crashed when Roswell happened. 3 ships crashed, and his grandfather he wasn't elderly at the time, but his grandfather and 2 other people actually had an alien up in the mountain for 9 months. Then the ship came down and took it away. And he wrote a thesis on that. He won not the Nobel Prize, but he won something right below that for writing this thesis about it. And it was a thesis about UFOs and aliens, which was probably amazing that he got the credit what he did for writing that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's what happens. They don't want all the real truth to get out, and that's one of the problems we have. They do the mind washing and wipe out a lot. It's been in fact, that it's only been this past year since TJ and I've been working together and looking at getting hypnotic regression for myself in order to bring up some of the information that has been haunting me, but I could just never quite remember it. Now we realize because I had been mind washed after getting back from some of the projects and things that I'd been sent on. So
you got somebody good working with you?
Dr. Sasha Lessin is one I've been working with.
Oh, all right. Well, I started doing hypnosis when I was 14 years old. I was
doing it at 12. I was doing it at 12 years old. Fascinating. Go ahead.
I started doing psychic implant removals when I was 20. I was doing, I called it past life regression. I made business cards. Now, Dolores Cannon claimed she invented it, but she claimed she invented it like 10 years after I was already doing it. But I stopped doing that. But did you ever get close to Bud Hopkins?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that one. I have a little problem with hearing loss thanks to a lot of rockets and bombs and things I had been involved in. So.
Bud Hopkins.
And I don't have my hearing. Go ahead. Yes.
Did you know Bud Hopkins? Well, my best friend was
Bill Tompkins we're talking about? Or Hopkins?
No,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But Bud Hopkins, he wrote all the abduction stories.
Right.
He was the first person to make it famous. My best friend was the first person he worked with, and he went around the United States the first year with her, because she was abducted for the whole year, and that's when he started writing about abductions and everything else. He died a couple of years ago, but he helped create MUFON as far as their whole system of checking people if they're crazy or sane and if they really saw something and things like that.
Right.
But I challenged him a lot because he never saw a UFO. He was never next to an alien. So all his is what people say to him, and I'm the opposite. I had all my direct experiences. So, I mean, I'm not coming from left field saying, oh, I heard somebody said this. So a friend of mine, Sergio 18, and I shot more pictures of ships than anybody else in the United States.
Okay.
We have pictures of creatures, entities, you name it. And we also went public in 96, filming orbs around the United States, wherever we went, in front of everybody. That's what I was doing for many years. But I pulled more into the spiritual side.
Right. Now, I was, like I say, kept from being able to bring forward a lot of the information. Mentioning, back when I was 12, turning 13 when I went to the military, high school, junior college, military school at Oklahoma Military Academy. And there I would hypnotize friends and help them study for exams and stuff. So I was quite busy up until, until I was 20, and I went off for the Marine Corps. And I hadn't haven't used or worked with hypnosis in a few decades. And now I find myself that I